Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. Today we're talking about keeping gift-giving reasonable. The list of gifts to buy seems to get longer and longer each year. Join us as we share how to simplify while keeping the spirit of Christmas gift-giving alive and well. Let's get started. Listeners, it's the first day of December 1st, and it's time to talk about gift giving. And one of the topics / suggestions / questions we received after our third anniversary episode, which you guys, I was amazed by how many topic suggestions we got. And thank you, listeners.
Yes. I think we're set for the year.
Thank
you so much. We loved all of those ideas.
Yes. And please feel free to keep sending them in because a lot of them could be combined. So don't ever think we have too many topics. We're always welcoming them. But anyways, this listener said, and it's so appropriate for the first day of December, it was very simple. How do you keep Christmas shopping reasonable? And I know that the definition of reasonable is different for each family, but I think we can still gain a lot by talking about this. Do you agree with that, Julie and Mindy?
Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Because if it gets out of hand, then it becomes stressful. And we've all talked about being stressed during the holiday season. So this is one major aspect that if we can maybe help each other out a little bit, maybe we can lower the stress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Because I always think this is the year that's going to get simplified, and it just never does.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's because you don't have your Simplify sign hanging up in your kitchen anymore. That's
my
why.
Simplify sign.
Exactly. Yeah. If you just put the sign up, you would keep it simple.
I know. I need my signs.
Yeah. Well, I do. I feel like it's like a perpetual, you know how some women, they're always saying like, this is the year I lose 5 pounds. Like, this is the year I get my Christmas shopping under control. Like, you've heard every woman in your life say that. Yes. And you know, right after they say it, it's not going to happen.
It inspired the whole middle episode, the orangey Christmas. You know, we've talked about that before. But
yes. I mean, maybe this year with talking about this on the podcast and listeners with you listening, maybe we can kind of a little bit hold each other accountable and do a little bit better. I guess we're not going to aim for completely under control. We'll just aim for better.
Better.
We're going to make better choices.
That's right.
We're not going to wait until Christmas Eve. All right. Well, let's get down to business. Let's talk about how you are planning to handle gift giving this year, because I think we all have an idea in our mind or an expectation before we start the holiday season of what gift giving is going to go like, and is it any different than in the past?
Well, I have a new idea this year that I am super, super excited about.
Ooh, do tell.
So I am going to have to tell my daughter, who listens regularly, not to listen to this episode because I don't want her to hear it.
Okay.
So if you know my daughter, don't mention anything about Christmas to her.
Okay.
So I got this idea from a friend who stayed in our home about a month ago. It was an overnight guest, and she just shared something that they have done for years. And I was inspired by that. I was inspired by a Bible study leader I was in, and I was inspired by my husband. So all three things kind of came together and gave me this idea. I am going to give our kids money this year, but then I'm going to ask them to give it away. And no, that's not all they're getting, but but that is going to be a big part of it. I'm going to write something up or either talk about it when they open it. I haven't figured that part out yet, but the premise behind all of this is that, you know, God could give everybody in the world what they needed, but he chooses to do it through us. He doesn't let us, you know, he lets us in on the joy of giving. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to focus on that and let them have some money, because I could also give the money to a charity or to someone, but I think it'll be kind of cool to let them have the experience of giving it too. And this woman that gave me the idea, they do it where they give each of their children money and then they go buy groceries for someone. Like they just show up in the grocery line and choose a person and buy their groceries or whatever. Oh, wow. So I'm just going to ask my kids to be on the lookout to find somebody to bless with the money, however they want to do it, and then come back and share it with all of us, like how they chose to use it. And I don't want to focus on us like, oh, isn't this great that we did this? But I do think God lets us in on the joy of giving. And the Bible study leader that I heard a couple of weeks ago, she just said that our gifts aren't to just be assets. It's not just something that we hold on to, that God gives them to us so we can use them. And so God just didn't give things to us. He wants to give them through us.
Well,
so I'm really excited to see how that goes.
Yeah,
what a great idea, Julie. I'm so thankful that your friend shared that with you and you could share it with us.
Yeah, that's why I did, even though I was risking, our kids hearing it, I did think other people might want to incorporate this because it's such a neat idea.
Maybe you can give us an update on that at some point in the future. Let us know how it went.
Yeah, I'd love to hear how creative your kids can get.
Yeah. Well, Mindy, is there anything different about your gift giving this year?
Well, I wish I could start off as beautifully as Julie did, but I'm over here in just my family, thinking about their gifts. And no, I'm not doing anything different than in the past, except for the fact that I tried to start earlier. And so my plan this year was to buy all of the extended family in November. And I always want to buy my kids ahead of time, but I know Maria and I both have this problem. Like, I still think that on Christmas Eve, I can be on Amazon getting that last perfect gift for my kids. And so I realized that I'm going to not stop thinking about my children until the day actually arrives and they open their presents. But I thought, well, okay, I can get the extended family at least, and maybe some stocking stuffers done in November so that I can just focus on the immediate family in December. So that's kind
different.
of how I'm organizing it. And I do feel really good about it. So I feel more on top of things this year. At least right now, I do.
That's a good feeling. And I will say that I am starting earlier than ever just because of the whole supply chain thing. I kind of got into gear because I thought, I don't want to not be able to find those things.
Yeah.
Right.
I think my biggest change this year is I'm not shopping by having people send me links and then I just click and buy. So this started because I happened to be in a store and saw something I thought my son-in-law would like. And I thought, you know what? I'm not even going to show it to my daughter. I'm just going to buy it. I think he would like it. What's the worst that can happen? And then I thought, this is kind of fun. I'd like to do this for everyone. Like, if I see something, this was in October. I don't remember. But if I see something this fall for someone, I'm just going to get it. And I'm not going to say, oh, did they need it? Oh, did they want it? But it wasn't on their list. Like, that's what gift giving is. If I think, and so I also decided that I wasn't going to ask for links. Now, comes with the exception of my twins, who are my youngest, and a little bit of my son who's in college, because I feel like when you are still living at home, you kind of count on Christmas to make up for things that you don't buy for yourself as a kid, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to ask for those really expensive shoes for Christmas, or, I really need this, and I'm just going to put it on my Christmas list. They're still at that stage. And so, it's going to be different. I guess one of the different things this year is that the kids that live at home will be a little bit different than the kids that live outside of the home. And we'll talk about that more later, but that's going to be a change because up until now I've been trying to keep it all the same and I'm just on a hamster wheel trying to replicate something that can't be replicated anymore, know?
Right.
So that is how I'm doing gift giving a little bit differently. And I've actually already started wrapping the presents that I've bought so far, and that feels good. And so, I'm just trying to get a little bit ahead. And I'm not hesitating. Like, I saw something for my husband and I was like, you know what? I think he would like it. The worst that can happen is he can return it. I'm not even going to send him a picture. I'm just going to get it.
Wow. That's great, Marie. And it sounds like you're having a lot of joy with this.
Right. But let's go back in time a little bit and think about how your gift giving has changed over the years. Let's start out with between you and your spouse. I can go first on this one. We started out like all young couples do, buying gifts for each other. It was really fun and you put a lot of thought into it. And then we fell into the trap that many young married couples do. Oh, we don't need to buy gifts for each other. Oh, well, we're getting a this year, so that'll just count as our gift. But I found that to be very disappointing when actually Christmas came. Like, I felt like, okay, here is somebody that is the most important person in your life, and you bought a gift for so-and-so, but not them. Like, it just didn't feel right to me. Right. Even though I had logically talked about it, it didn't feel right. And so we did go back to giving gifts. Also because I felt like it was important to set the example for my kids. I wanted my kids to see us give gifts to each other. Like, I just thought that was important. And as far as how it's changed amongst the kids, I think just as they grow, the budget grows. When they're little, you can buy the smallest items and they are absolutely thrilled. You could buy them nothing if they're too young to even notice. But I always felt kind of funny about that too. Like, I don't know. I felt like letting Christmas pass with no gift was just didn't make me feel good. But now Christmas giving is changing again. Like, as my kids are moving out, now it changes again. So it's always changing. How about you guys? How has Christmas gift giving changed for you over the years? Do you and Bryce exchange gifts, Mindy?
We do. And honestly, I think we always have. Bryce is so much better of a gift giver than I am. And so I actually really enjoy when we come to Christmas time or birthdays or whatever. He is extremely thoughtful. And that's where I get stressed, is because I'm bad at it. I'm just I'm bad at gift giving.
Well, I think some people genuinely can be,
Okay, well, that's me. And I wish I was better. Like, people will give me gifts. I'm like, that's amazing. How did you do that? Can you teach me how to do this? And I feel like, anyways, that's a whole nother episode. Why am I bad at gift giving? Does that make me a bad person?
No.
Anyways, we have always exchanged gifts, and it is really sweet, Marie. I like that you brought up wanting to be an example for the kids, because that's one of the things that became a tradition, was that our kids and Bryce and I, we always kind of have a Christmas just the 6 of us. Well, now it's going to be 7, and it's where each person takes time giving out their gifts to the people, because they've not spent very much. They've spent their own money. They've had to earn the money to buy gifts for their siblings. But that sibling exchange and parent exchange is the best part of the whole season for me, to see that, and for them to see Bryce and I, and just our relationship, the silly things, the thoughtful things. And so, that's kind of a simple thing, it's not actually extravagant, and it's the most fun.
Yeah. How about you, Julie? Do you and John exchange? Well, I know John gives you big gifts because you talked about some of them in the Where the Appliances Go to Die episode.
Graveyard. Yeah, John gives me gifts. We've always exchanged gifts, and we've never stopped doing that. And he is a gift giver. Occasionally, I say, "Hey, I would really like this," or "I need this." I always give him 1 or 2 things, and then let him just do what he wants for the rest. And I like that. And I think we've never just done like, oh, let's do a family gift or whatever, because like you, Mindy, we sit around and watch each person open one gift at a time. And it's so fun to see what each sibling got the other, and what they got each parent. And I remember having fun taking each kid out so they could buy John a Christmas gift, and each sibling. And so it's just neat now that they're all doing that on their own. And, because we could all buy whatever we wanted whenever, most likely. But the thought is, what we picked out for someone and how we chose it. So that's just a neat part of it.
Well, have you ever done something with your kids that was like, this is just an example of something I've heard other people do, like they get 3 gifts. They get like something you want, something you need, something you read. Like, have you ever tried to rein in gift giving, keeping it more reasonable, like the listener said, by following one of these kind of little tricks?
1 year I remember we did 3 gifts each person because that was what, Jesus had got 3 gifts from the wise men.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so hard because then I think I made up for it in their stockings. It's like, okay, I can only give 3 gifts.
Yes.
Because 3 just didn't seem like enough, But I had never heard of the whole what you want, what you need, something to read or wear.
Oh, you hadn't heard of that before? Okay.
I had not heard of that, but when I started thinking about it, that's kind of
Just
not
what you do?
intentionally, but that's kind of what I try to do, kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think what that trick does is it does help to keep things reasonable because you're not just trying to shop for an unending list. You're shopping for a finite number of things, and you can have something in mind when you go out to shop instead of just look at all the choices in the world. How am I ever going to choose?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is where I've heard of one friend that their tradition, they had 3 girls. Their tradition was they had a panty tree. And they would give all the girls new panties and they would cover the tree like on Christmas Eve. And so all the girls, and of course that's something that they would need. But, when my boys open up socks, or I'm like, well, you always need socks, so.
Yeah, I do find that girls appreciate things they need in general when I've given it more than boys. Like,
true.
It's really hard to get particularly one of my sons to be excited about a Christmas gift. And it's not even any fun for me to give him something he needs because I know it's going to go over like a lead balloon. Like, it's just not even fun for me to wrap it. So like I can't just do things he needs for him because it's all the joy is out of the room by the look on his face. Uh-huh.
Okay, but don't you have kids that truly love getting gifts and then you have other kids that really don't care?
Right.
Yeah.
And he is
I'm
one that
telling
doesn't
you what,
care. Yeah.
That is not some people's love language. Okay. And so even with Bryce, like I could give him something and I have one of my sons as well is the same way as one of yours, Marie. And I'll give him something and I know he needs it. I know he's going to like it, but he's not thankful until like the next day or the next week when he actually goes to use it or put it to practice or whatever. Then he was like, "Oh, Mom, I'm so glad you got me that." I'm like, "Yeah, I could really tell when I gave it to you. You were super excited." But I know, like, don't watch his reaction.
Right.
So
but
then
how much more fun are cute girl socks and cute girl
gosh.
accessories? But, here's a pair of men's socks. It's just not exciting.
I know.
But one thing I try to do with a non-exciting gift is maybe instead of saying wrapping a pair of socks, I might bundle a pair of socks, a bar of soap, a couple of things that are
good idea.
necessary. So it's kind of like a little gift box instead of just the one item.
Like, here's some deodorant along with the socks that you need.
Rub the deodorant out of the bottom of your feet and then wear these new socks.
Yeah. Oh, great idea. Great idea. Except this went bad one year when I decided to get my younger boy's cologne for the first time. And I got him some knockoff brand at TJ Maxx. And I thought it was something nice. Well, I should have known by the price it wasn't. And I kept smelling rotten eggs.
Oh.
And it was the cologne. And I'm like, I can't believe I brought that awful smell into the house. And it was so bad, y'all.
Yeah.
So be careful out there. Okay.
Yeah. Be careful what you might have to live with.
And
Exactly.
I think that's how sometimes my Christmas shopping gets out of hand is I'm buying all these things to fill a certain number for these people in my family that really don't care about gifts because I don't want them to feel like they got less than the people that do really care about the gifts. But I can't land on the thing I think is going to make them smile. So I just keep buying more and it frustrates me. It makes Christmas shopping miserable. I can't find the key to that. Oh, Mom, thank you gift. Like it's just that can contribute to making my Christmas shopping unreasonable because I'm trying to fulfill a unicorn that's just not, it's only happened like once every 3 or 4 years do I hit on a gift that makes him go, oh, wow.
All right. So I'm catching on to something. This really isn't our problem. Like we are not the ones to blame. It's the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
Well, when you sit around and open gifts one at a time, you can't just have one kid never opening anything.
Right.
You have to have a balance there. So I've said this before, I lose a lot of sleep in December because I have lists on my phone. I have lists on scrap papers in drawers right by the bed. I have lists in books and closets that I'm hiding, because I'm trying to, I think I even go and write down everything I've gotten for each person. And then I number them. All right. Are all the number ones about the same price, about the same size? Are all the number twos? It's hard. And when they get older, things can be tiny that cost a lot of money, It was so much easier when they were little, when they didn't keep track of all that, or they didn't notice, or that everything cost about the same.
Right.
But I think it's harder when they're older.
And I think that might be why a midlife woman was asking, how do you keep Christmas reasonable? Because I don't think my daughter is struggling with this yet, because she's young, her child's young. She's not struggling with this. It's when you get to midlife that you're like, how come I'm losing so much sleep in the month of December?
Right. Well, you feel like you're this event organizer that has to make sure everyone's needs, wants, wishes, desires, fantasies are fulfilled. It lasts over a month. And we take on the world, and we really don't need to. We really don't. They need us more than they need stuff. But it's so hard to come to the place of peace, set a budget, stick to the budget. You don't want to be paying for Christmas in February and March or even January, like if you can have a plan and stick to it and have peace with whatever you do, then at that point, it's about the food. I mean, it's about getting enough sleep and having good food.
Those are two more big things.
We'll
decorations. All that falls on the mom.
That's true. Yeah. That's our event organizing and planning skills going into action. No wonder we're exhausted.
And I keep thinking we're going to scale it down. But all you can think about is this only happens once a year. Christmas is pretty important. If Christmas morning is a big flop, you just don't want to risk
Who are they going to look at? All right. Well, let's talk about how you handle gift giving once a child leaves the nest, because this is kind of new for Mindy this year. You have one that has gotten married, and Julie, you have kids that have left the nest, and I do. And I have found this to be a process. I have found this to be something I'm still trying to work out. I haven't hit on what to do yet, but I am interested in what you guys are going to say, or what our listeners, because as I mentioned before, I was trying to keep it the same as when they lived at home, and I was left feeling really empty and dissatisfied at the end. It didn't feel the same to keep it the same when they didn't live there anymore. And so, how do you manage it when you have, and also how do you manage when you have kids that are both at home and in the home? Julie, you've been doing this the longest. What are you doing for kids that have left the home? And do you have a discrepancy between those that live at home and those that don't?
Well, I don't think I do. I haven't noticed that much of a change unless we did a couple's gift. Sometimes that happened, like this is something that they both could use. In fact, we did that with one of them this year. But I always took the approach that the kids that are adults and out on their own, they have wants and needs that maybe get pushed under the rug because they had to buy a new air conditioner this year, or they had to buy health insurance, or, so I think it's kind of fun to still give them things they want that they had to pass up because of real life, like the cool shoes that they're not going to buy because they don't have the extra money to do that. And then, so I still like to work off list because I don't ever want to see a gift wasted, but I always like to throw in something just for fun too. That'll be a real surprise. With my daughter being the one that's married and out of the house and away, I've not found it too much different to buy for her because she loves homemade things. So that's something I love to do. So that's been easy. And she's just so easy to buy for that I don't feel like a lot has changed. Now, you don't make your sons things that they really want.
No, I know.
So they're always the more difficult ones to buy for, but yeah. So
other than dinner at night, that's about what they want made. Food, some sort of food.
Right. Well, Mindy, what about for you? Are you what are you doing now that Abby's left the nest? Is it going to be any different? And it might not, because this is the very first year.
Right. Okay. So I'm starting to see that it does feel a little bit different, because now that she's married, it's funny because last year I just went and I knew the things that she wanted, things that would be a need, plus that, fun, extravagant gift or whatever that I knew she would never get outside of Christmas. And this year, though, I have held back more. And so there are things that I can think of for her and Joey, but I have asked them as a couple, like, could you guys give me some ideas of what you think you guys need? And then I still know, some things that would be fun for them, but I want to get them individual things. But I'm also thinking like, gosh, I could get them like a couple's getaway, or, I could give them an experience together that, anyways, I feel like there's so many more options. So I'm kind of seeing, this is our first navigation of this. So I'm asking them, and I'm kind of holding back to see what they perceive as what they need. And I'll try to meet some of those and then also have fun, I guess.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more I realize that it's so much more about emotions and feelings than it is about the gift. And so I feel like that's something I'm learning as I get older, as I age, maybe as I continue to mature. Because after Christmas, you always have kind of that letdown because you've put so much focus on the gifts. Well, of course, there's going to be a letdown, but I keep telling myself, focus on the people, not necessarily the gifts. That Christmas is about days, not just that moment of opening presents. There's so much more that Christmas is. And so as much as I do want to get gifts, and I will get gifts, I just want to keep remembering, like, that's
what
not
it's really all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think too, it will change more. I'll make a change when all the kids are out of the house. Having David still at home feels, not that he's a child, but it feels like a connection to Christmas's past. Whereas if no one is at home, I think that'll just be a natural break in I don't know, it'll be natural to make changes, because right now he's very much a lover of traditions. And so I just hate to break those for him. Everyone else got to enjoy them, so why not him?
Yes.
I mean, this is still his home, so I think while he's at home, things will stay the same, and then we'll figure out a new way.
All right, well, let's go on to a question that Mindy told us beforehand she is not answering, but Julie and I can talk about it a little bit. What happens once your adult children have kids? Like, how does the gift giving change? Okay, Julie, so you've done this a little bit longer than I have, and have you found that your gift giving changes?
Well, this will only be our second Christmas with the grandson. So first Christmas, he didn't realize he was 3 months old, so he didn't really know anything. And I know that his second birthday, he does know what's going on. Like his eyes got really big when he saw gifts, and he was into tearing them open and throwing away the paper. But he did really just like the wrapping better than the gift. So
yeah.
So I know our daughter and son-in-law don't really want him to have a lot of toys just because they don't have room. And, so I'm going to have to be careful how I buy. I think I'm going to make him something. But when Ezra was born, I just looked at it as I get to buy someone else a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am having fun just buying things that I think would make her smile. Like last year, Abigail did send out some links of things that she thought that Pepper could use, and none of them really appealed to me to buy. So I said, I'm just only going to buy things that I want to buy her. Like, I looked up good toys for her age group, and I wanted to buy some of those toys. And so Abigail and Nick went home with some toys that they hadn't put on Pepper's list, but I saw her use them and enjoy them this year, and I think they were glad they had them. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I told her I want to buy things that are fun. Like, little kids are only little so long. You remember, even when you think back to your own little kids now, you wish she would have just And we all did savor it. You can't make it last forever. But that was the fun time to buy, when you could buy the Dora Explorer dollhouse and they went wild. Like, that's the fun Christmas.
That's so great. And I will put in a plug right here. So I do not have grandchildren at this point, but I have really enjoyed watching how my mother-in-law and my parents have handled having grandchildren, because they always end up buying some things for Bryce and I and the kids. And then they always end up giving us some cash. Well, shout out to both my mother-in-law and parents. They always give Bryce and I more cash than what they give the kids. Of course, we have 4 kids, but I didn't realize like how meaningful that was, because as the parents, you always scrimp more with, yourself and with your spouse, because you're going all out for your kids. Well, it's really sweet to still be taken care of and having that little, a little bit of mad cash that you can put towards something that maybe you have not taken time to go do, that you could buy something frivolous, because it's not your money. It's like different money.
Right.
Bonus money.
Right. Well, and your parents are going to probably say to you, hey, what'd you spend that Christmas money on? You can't say you put it in the grocery budget. Like it almost makes you have to go out and buy something fun.
I feel like I can buy different funner things with the money that my mother-in-law or my mom and dad will give me. I feel more free to spend that in a completely different way.
Isn't it strange how we don't want to give people money because we think it's not personal, but everyone loves to get it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel confused and overwhelmed. Like if I go to the store and I try to buy for everyone at once, because I will try to focus my energies and say, today I'm focusing on these 3 or 4 people. But at the same time, I have to be open to, but if I see something for that person, I need to go ahead and get it. And so I've tried to organize myself so that my thoughts are more organized and I can really just put thought into that one person. Something that I've had to do that has helped me this year is I use my note app on my phone all the time. I have one note that is Christmas ideas 2021. I have another note, Christmas I bought 2021.
Oh.
So every time I had an idea, I would put that next to that person's name to try to help organize my thoughts, because I feel like if we could be more organized and take more time and start a little earlier, it will alleviate some of those problem areas.
Yeah. And I had to put a lock on my notes. Did you guys put locks on your notes? Because people in my family take my phone. My girls are not above looking at my notes. So you can put a lock on your Christmas idea note in case you're worried someone might find out their Christmas present early.
Oh, that is so funny, Marie.
But I do the idea, and then I would star it or mark it through when it was bought. And that's why my list thing is so complicated, because I've got them everywhere.
I know.
Yeah. Maybe scan all those little handwritten ones in somewhere, Julie, or I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I find them years later. Oh, that was from 2018,
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about our history of gift giving and what we get for our family. And we hope that that's helpful. But before we move into I'm a Fan, let's talk about just general ways that we can keep gifts reasonable. I'm thinking especially of, when you are buying for your extended family and your own family, and then you have teacher gifts, and maybe you want to give something to your neighbors. And I can see how the listener question was just where does it end? How can we keep this reasonable? Do you guys have any ideas for this?
Well, we don't have a huge extended family, but I found that having 3 kids, the teachers' gifts could really start to add up, like Sunday school teachers, people that give them lessons, or scout leaders. I mean, it could just go on. And then sometimes in a classroom, there were 2 teachers in a classroom, so that doubled the number of gifts, So I always just tried to keep that simple and do the same thing for everybody. So I would make up a batch of something. Like my go-to thing was hot cocoa, peppermint hot cocoa. And I would use, I think it was the Nestle Quick hot chocolate mix that you have to mix with milk. So it was a little bit richer. And I would crush up peppermint in the food processor till it was like a powder. and just put like a teaspoon per cup of hot chocolate, mix it all up in a big batch. And then just put it into some kind of decorative container. And people just kind of knew that's what I was going to give. Like I did it year after year after year.
Well, I'm sure they looked forward to it too.
Yeah. I mean, I had people say, I love your peppermint hot chocolate. And that's the only time of year I get it,
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. In every form of life, I have seen tradition coming back into popularity. And so I remember my Mima, she did ladies' hair. Like when she got older, she would do it out of her home. And at Christmas time, it was always so awesome because all the ladies would exchange their Christmas candies or cookies or whatever they had made in Christmas tins. I feel like that's coming back into popularity because we went through the whole like, oh yeah, you don't make homemade things for people, they wanted store-bought or whatever. But I think that that's becoming popular again to be able to exchange homemade gifts. Mm-hmm. And the Christmas tin, you can find them at every single thrift store out there. There's like all through the year, I would pick up Christmas tins and because that's what I would want to give like the neighbors or something, Yeah. And so anyways, that's a great idea, Julie. And I really think that that's coming back into popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the container you put it in can also be costly. Like if you think, okay, I've got 20 of these to give and I had to spend $5 on a container for each one. So I always used, Target has these great little felt baskets and they're usually red or green at Christmas. They have them at Easter, they're yellow and pink. But they're just made out of this kind of stiff felt. And I just buy those. When I go through the Target, they're in the dollar section.
Oh,
and I just buy a stack of them. And then I can put whatever treat in those and put a little tag on it. And then everybody's looks the same. You don't have to say, no, do I have the right gift? You just pick one up when you're going to church or going to school and they all get the same thing. So that is that was just an easy way for me to do that.
That's
because that's kind of daunting when you have 25 gifts to give like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that one of the things that we've done to keep gifts reasonable with having a big extended family is we just have gone down to a $10 Dirty Santa gift and we do that one exchange.
Oh,
and that
fun.
has made Christmas so much easier because you just bring a gift for every single person in your family, but everybody has fun. Everybody gets to do it. But, we've ruled out like family gifts or anything like that. Now we just do the Dirty Santa gift as a whole. And that's fun.
But that's fun because that's also an experience together because I'm guessing you guys are able to get together and do that. And so, I mean, and that's really sweet.
Yeah. Another thing, and this is just an idea that I was thinking of, but Home Goods, like they had some great Christmas towels the other day. And I was thinking, well, you could buy several of these that they have for sale, and then you could separate them. And you could do what you did, Julie, like you could put them with something else small that Home Goods has. And kind of, then it's not just towels, but now it's one towel and one other small thing. And, it's still keeping it pretty reasonable, but there's some variety. Yeah. Like sometimes you can take packages of larger things apart and kind of redo it. And that's a way of giving people a variety, but you haven't spent a lot of money.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like a towel with a wooden spoon or a whisk or, just with a ribbon around it.
I have wrapped things in a specialty kitchen towel and then like tied, and done some greenery and tied a bow. Yeah. So that even the wrapping was useful.
Right.
Yes.
Was what my thought was. Like every part of the gift was useful for something.
And that's not something that you typically buy yourself. Like I don't think to myself, I need new Christmas towels. I'm going to go out and buy one. All the Christmas towels I have are ones that I've been gifted like that over the years. I've never said, let me buy new Christmas towels. But I appreciate them when the season comes around.
It's true. I have 2 towels. I pulled them out yesterday. I was like, time to wash the 2 Christmas towels that I pull out every single year. And I was just thinking I should probably replace these at some point.
But you only use them for a couple of weeks a year, so they don't really get that much use.
They go back in the Christmas tote and I'll pull them out again next year, wash them and put them to use.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing along the Christmas towel line that you could do that's pretty inexpensive is you could do a pillow cover because everybody has throw pillows. And if they had a Christmas pillow cover to put on one, how fun would that be?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Great idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are there any other tips for just in general keeping the amount of shopping or things that you're doing at a reasonable level? All right, listeners, we've come up dry. We literally do not have any tips. To the person
We've given you all that we know.
To the person that sent in that question. I mean, really, it kind of goes back to Mindy's advice, which is make a budget, stick to it. Like whatever your budget is, there's probably something at that price point that you can do that's cute.
Yes.
It just might take a little bit of brainstorming.
Right.
Yeah. And don't be afraid of practical gifts, things that people really need, that not need, but that maybe it's a luxury, but they're going to use it. You know, it's consumable.
And don't underestimate a gift of a kind word. And so if you can't afford much, we all have some encouragement we can pass along to those special people in our lives. And offering a note and a homemade something or other is the best gift. And so just know that, saying thank you, being grateful, something that they have gifted you with just who they are would probably mean a lot to them to hear.
Yeah.
That reminds me of something that I could fit in right here. I have a friend who always felt like she didn't have, a big enough budget to buy all of her friends gifts, but she always wanted to do something special for them. So every year at Christmas, she hosted a brunch for her closest friends. And she went all out and cooked a delicious meal. And, you knew it was just going to be an afternoon at her house. It was going to be very nice. And that's what she did. She just took that time to say a nice word about what each friendship meant to her, or she wrote it out or whatever. And that she said, this is all I can do. But it was one of the greatest gifts ever. You looked forward to it every year.
Right.
So yes, that you don't underestimate that. That's a great gift. Is your time and your gift of being in your home or
yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right. Well, before we go, let's move into I'm a fan. All right, Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
All right, I'm a fan of a Trader Joe's product, and it's their unscented pillar candle. You can see it. It's 3 by 6, and it is advertised as smokeless, dripless, and it's got a burn time of 80 hours. And it's
80
unscented.
hours. Woo.
Unscented. I know that goes against all of my principles.
Why did you buy that?
Well, the 80 hours and the smokeless, dripless, and the Trader Joe's name on it convinced me to give it a try.
Okay.
I usually have a lot of battery operated candles, but around the holidays, I did want to. I have some glass hurricanes that I wanted to put these in, and I thought, well, I'll give it a try. So they're only $3.99. That was the other reason.
For 80 hours.
Yeah, you can't find pillar candles for that price.
Wow.
And I saw a lot of people online talking about them like, hey, the candles are out. So I thought, okay, these must be good if they're telling you to rush out and get them.
That's awesome. All right. Well, I think I'm going to rush out and get one.
I know. I'm thinking I have to drive to another town to get to a Trader Joe's, but I love that because if all of your smells are competing, because you typically will light, and I think Julie might have this problem. I don't know. Competing smells. She's like, is that a problem? I don't think so. However, that would be a problem in my house. But I'm allergic to so many different candles. And so having the unscented and the smokeless, that is excellent because you want the look, but you don't always want the smell or the smoke.
True.
Right.
That's awesome. Right. All right. All right, Mindy, what are you a fan of this week?
I am a fan of a makeup item by Thrive Cosmetics. The reason I'm a fan of this is because during the winter, we are all busy, especially during holiday season. But this particular item, it's called Buildable Blur CC Cream. And I like it because I'm still outdoors and you don't typically heavily sunscreen in the winter, but you're still outside a lot. Well, this has an SPF of 35. It's vegan, made only of good products. It has just enough, I don't want to call it weight, but I like the weight of it on my skin. Like it's a little bit more for the winter, like it's kind of moisturizing. It doesn't dry out my skin, but it also just kind of blurs. Like it
Does
covers
it cover your
redness.
under eye circles? Not that you have any, but if you have them.
Yes. Thanks, Marie.
If you had them.
Okay. What I really like about this stuff is, first of all, you're buying it online, so I know that can be a bit of an issue, but they have this great little way that you try to find the right color for your skin
that's
tone.
what I was wondering about.
I've been using this for about a month and I'm about to repurchase it. And so I've been very happy with it because you talked about like the under the eye. I don't use a different anything for under the eye, but I will dab a little bit more of this. And what I like about it is it's called Buildable Blur. I feel like if there's certain spots or under your eye or whatever that you're trying to smooth out your skin tone, or it doesn't build up and get cakey or flaky and then there was one day that I even got brave, and this sounds awful, but this is what happened. I worked out, like I had blotted my face a lot. I had sweat a lot and I had an event to go to that night. And I was like, I don't want to rewash my face, and redo my makeup. I just want to add to it. Like I want to be totally lazy about this, but I want to look nice. I totally put another layer on.
Well, it says buildable.
You can build it on sweat.
It looked exactly dirty sweat. It looked great. I was so happy with how it turned out that I just added a little.
But now you do it every day.
I know. I don't do that every day, but it lasts all day. I've been so pleased with this product.
All right.
Well, it's Thrive Cosmetics, right?
It's Thrive Cosmetics, which is, we have all talked about their mascara that we love. So that's why I decided to just take a shot and try this. And I am a fan.
Yeah, I've tried another product of theirs that you had to match your skin tone. And that really did work. You go through this little test, and
I was surprised.
Okay. Well, listeners, we will definitely put a link to that in our notes. And I think you've convinced me, Mindy. I may end up ordering that.
It's for the practical woman.
Yes. All right. Well, this week I'm a fan of holiday pansies. I have been trying to find something to plant in my planters outside that would survive the winter. And my mom said, how about pansies? But like Julie and I were talking yesterday, a lot of the colors are like purple and yellow and not really the holiday look. So I happened to be walking to Lowe's the other day and it was called holiday pansies. And they are kind of a deep maroon color and white in a nice bucket with a snowflake on it. So they're truly for the holiday. And it says they will survive the cold. And so if you want to give them a try, they're inexpensive. And it seems like a good thing to take a risk on if you want something in your planters.
Yeah, I'm going to tell my mom because she always wants something in her window boxes, but orange and purple, you just don't want that at Christmas.
No.
So those sound perfect. I've never heard of the Christmas colors.
I haven't either. I'm so thrilled you're saying this.
And I will just give you a hint. I don't know like what happened, but I went 2 days in a row and this happened. They say $9.98 a bucket, but when you go up there, they only ring up $4.99. And I said to the guy, these say $9.98. He goes, I don't know, you're getting them half off. And I went back another day and it was still like that. So maybe they'll be $4.99 at your Lowe's, which makes you buy twice as many.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Great idea.
Yeah. So, all right, ladies. Well, hopefully we have a lot of ideas on how to keep gift giving reasonable. Listeners, if you did not listen to our episode last week, that was a short little episode all about what gifts to give. And so that in conjunction with this one, hopefully gets you on a good start for the holidays.
I hope so. And definitely give us ideas. If you have some great tips, ideas, whatever, please send them our way.
Yes, for sure. All right. We'll talk to you ladies next week.
All right. Goodbye.
Sounds great. Bye, girls.
We're so happy you joined us today. You can find the show notes for this episode at midlifematterspodcast.com. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.